Welcome to the Relationship Rehab Podcast. I'm Sammy, a certified breakup and relationship coach, attachment specialist, former love addict, and spiritual junkie. This podcast is for you, the hopeless romantic who loves to love, and a safe space for us to explore and heal our attachment trauma, broken hearts, and love addictions. Together, we are on a mission to become the love of our own lives so we can have successful, healthy, secure relationships with others. So if you're ready to create a life and love beyond your wildest desires, you're in the right place. Your journey towards becoming more secure in love and life starts now. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the podcast. The first one. Well, at least the first solo one that I'm doing for 2025. I hope everybody had a beautiful Christmas and New Year. Calling in the new year, 2025. I feel like this is going to be a big one personally and professionally, and I feel it for all of you as well. I hope that you took some time to really release and let go of everything that no longer serves you, to leave it in 2024. Bringing fresh new energy into 2025. I know that I'm feeling it already, feeling so many shifts, new energetic perspectives coming through. It's all happening on this end. And yeah, I hope that your winter is beautiful. There's lots of reflections and being with yourself happening. All right, so today I'm doing something a little bit different. So I am creating this episode just after a client call that I had this morning, but also we did a Facebook Live event as well this morning where we connected as a community, and a lot of the same topics came up, which is attracting emotional unavailability, this abandonment wound, and unworthiness wound as well. Fear of abandonment and rejection were also themes that were coming up. So I always take this as a sign to really integrate this and create a podcast episode or content around these topics, because it is a theme that is happening for multiple people right now, and maybe it's the same for you if you are here listening to this episode, all about how to heal from emotional abandonment, shame, and unworthiness so you can start attracting emotionally available partners. And what does that even mean, and how do we even get there, right? So I'm going to be sharing some aspects of my client's story and what we talked about in our session this morning, but also some things that came up in the event as well as my own story. So let's take a look at emotional abandonment first and foremost, because what I get a lot of as well is when we talk about abandonment is responses like, but I wasn't abandoned as a child, like my parents didn't leave me. So we need to be able to separate and relay the difference of physical abandonment and emotional abandonment. So physical abandonment is quite that. It is our parents abandoning us somewhere, like leaving the baby at the police station type of story, or a parent not being physically present due to divorce, or just not deciding to be in the child's life, or being incarcerated in prison, or even just working a lot can also cause the impact of physical abandonment in a child. Now, when we look at emotional abandonment, it doesn't necessarily mean that the parent or caregiver didn't attend to the child's physical needs. They may still have been providing in the sense of giving you food on the table, clothes, warmth, medicine when you were sick. However, emotional abandonment is ignoring your emotional needs and not being emotionally available for you to display your emotions. So what this could look like is shaming you for having emotions. We hear this all the time, where we have parents sometimes saying to us, like, stop crying. Why are you crying for? Big girls don't cry. Big boys don't cry. Or don't get angry. That's bad. Or just completely ignoring us when we are displaying our emotions, or dismissing us, humiliating us that we are displaying some sort of emotions. Whatever is happening within the child in that moment, we are learning that emotions are unsafe. They result in physical withdrawal from our parents, withdrawal of love, and maybe punishment as well. So we are now tying our emotional experiences with undesirable results or consequences even. So now we are learning that it's unsafe to be in our emotions, therefore we need to keep them suppressed. We need to not create space for us to feel, and we also feel that if we are too emotional, that we will be abandoned by others as well. Emotional abandonment can also mean not attending to your needs. Need for love, attention, validation. Again, the same behavior being presented of dismissal or withdrawal of love or punishment or shaming can start to happen. Therefore, we are learning that we don't deserve to get our needs met. We don't deserve to be seen, heard, and understood in what we need. Therefore, it's again unsafe to have needs, to express needs, and we are suppressing them. And this is what we are starting to see coming up in our adult relationships. This is what we were unpacking in my client session this morning. Is as a result, she doesn't feel safe to express emotions in her connections with others. Or when she does, she's attracting partners that are pretty much reflecting her childhood experiences with her parents, where those partners are not emotionally available. Therefore, they're shutting her down. They don't have the space for it. They're creating distance when this happens. And it's just reaffirming those subconscious beliefs and experiences that she already holds within herself because of this past conditioning. And also as a result, she doesn't feel connected to herself, doesn't feel connected to her body, doesn't know how to identify what she needs, let alone express them. And we see this as a manifestation of self-abandonment, going against yourself, dismissing your own needs in order to accommodate other people's needs and wants and desires, not feeling like we have the space to have that for ourselves. But there's also an element of feeling unworthy of receiving it when we do have it. So she gave me the example of her friend. Her friend is so excited to spend so much time with her, and she's pouring out with love, and she sees her as this amazing human that she is. But she recognizes there's resistance within her, like, why do you want to spend so much time with me? Why do you love me so much? I also experienced this in a secure relationship. It doesn't feel familiar, and we attract love that feels familiar, not ideal. Or we don't really attract love in the ideal way of how we want to be cared for. We attract it in familiar ways. So when we do attract secure love that is emotionally available and is attentive to our needs and want to love us like the way that we deserve to be loved, we don't feel worthy. We don't feel worthy of receiving. Therefore, we will then sabotage. We will go against it. We will resist it in some way with the words that we use, or the discomfort that we feel. Now, a little thing about my client, which a lot of you I think will resonate with, is she is an absolute powerhouse in her career. She's very confident in these areas of her life. She is like very spiritually connected. She has an incredible friendship circle, incredible job, incredible home for herself. She is set up for her life. She is on the surface got her shit together, right? But she also recognizes in herself that when she gets into relationships, it's like she becomes a different person. It's like her identity completely shifts into something that she doesn't recognize. And then upon reflection, as we were reflecting upon her past and previous relationships, she's like, what the hell? Why did I put up with that? That's not me. Why did I stay in that for so long? And there's a couple of reasons why. One of them is what I just said, because we are attracted to familiarity. So we will attract partners that love us in familiar ways and reaffirm the subconscious beliefs that we hold about ourselves from our childhood. So if we have a subconscious belief that we are not worthy, that we need to chase love, that love is hard to get, that we don't deserve to be heard, even though on a conscious level, this is what we want, we are attracting whatever our subconscious beliefs are about ourselves, about relationships, and about others as well. And another reason why this might be happening is because we are subconsciously, and I always use this word subconsciously because we don't even realize that we're doing it sometimes, we are replaying past experiences and hoping for a different outcome in order to heal the emotional and spiritual wounding that we have as a result of our childhood experiences. So it's on a deeper spiritual level as to why we are attracting these people. Now, if we remain open to this, if we are able to see that this is actually happening, we can start to pick out those lessons. We can start to filter out that this person is in my life because they are not meant to be my long-term soulmate. They are here for a reason. They are here to show me things that need to come up to the surface, that I need to be aware and conscious of, that I need to heal, so I can go ahead and heal these wounds, go ahead and learn these new skills, and be even more secure in myself so I can attract that person. So when that person comes into my life, I am this more secure version of myself. So if you are able to detach from the anxiety that you might feel around this and about the visions and the potential that can overwhelm us sometimes and engulf us, we can start to see these people as that mirrors to show us where our wounding is and what we need to heal. Is it something to do with our dad? Is it something to do with our mother? Or maybe an early relational experience? Is it something within ourselves, some sort of trauma that we went through in childhood that hasn't been integrated and processed yet? And we continue to replay these scenarios. We continue to be offered the same opportunities to learn and heal and grow from this. And until we do, until we are brave enough to really face that, it will continue to repeat in our lives. So how does these emotional abandonment experiences really affect us as children? And I think, like I've said on a lot of my episodes, that as children, we're very egocentric, which means that we take everything personally. We haven't yet developed a mature neocortex to understand that whatever happening in our lives doesn't necessarily mean that it's about us. We haven't yet developed those part of our brain. So it's our brain in these ages is still very much in those survival instincts. We are always putting things in place to protect and keep us safe. So, for example, if there's lots of conflict in the home, or if your parent is stressed out and taking it out on you, maybe there's financial problems, or a parent struggling with addiction, or leaning on you emotionally to take care of them, then these major stressors really deplete the emotional reserves of that child. And therefore, we look at these scenarios that are happening in our life and we think that because we haven't developed that connection yet, that, oh, just because my parents are fighting and ignoring me and my needs right now, it doesn't mean anything about me. Like, we cannot do that for ourselves as children. That's our parents' job, for us to get us to that space where we are learning that. We don't have that naturally. So instead, we make it about ourselves. Oh, they're fighting because of me. Oh, my parents not giving me the attention that I need right now because there's something wrong with me. So this is how we then start to form either anxious or avoidant or fearful avoidant attachment systems and patterns and traumas. And as a result, we will then feel abandoned and rejected because we can't understand why our parents aren't available and attentive as we need them to be. So in order to make sense of their behavior and to keep us safe as well, we assume that we've done something wrong to repel our parents, to not have this attention and love that we need. And therefore that belief of being unworthy of their love and attention will start to come in, and the feelings become internalized as shame and a deep sense of being inadequate or unlovable or not enough. So then we start to develop coping mechanisms to keep us safe. This could look like needy behavior. Maybe it has worked in the past where if I display somewhat needy behavior, then I get my needs met. If I act out, then I get my needs met. If I stay quiet and not disturb or rock the boat, then I won't get mum angry, or I won't get dismissed by dad. So instead, I'm going to stay quiet and suppress my needs and suppress my emotions. Maybe it's pleasing and proving. As long as I am achieving, as long as I'm being a good girl or boy and doing everything perfectly, then I will get the love and attention that I need as a child. As a result, we have adopted these coping mechanisms, and we are now seeing this in our adult lives as trauma responses. Perfectionism, pleasing, proving, staying quiet, acting out. All these types of things are from our childhood and has gotten us the love and attention that we need and has kept us safe from abandonment and rejection in some way. And now we are playing those things out on repeat. So what my client was experiencing in this space was keeping herself as small as possible so she doesn't risk this person walking out of her life. She was hiding parts of herself because she wasn't fully accepted in her childhood. So she then learned, if as long as I keep these parts hidden, then they won't leave me. But we're wrapping those parts of ourselves up in shame, and they are becoming shadows. This is where shadow work comes in. And she also developed this sense of unworthiness, that she doesn't get to receive the secure love that she craves. She doesn't get to receive somebody who's completely emotionally available for her because she never experienced that in her childhood. Therefore, she hasn't learned how to self-source that within herself, how to be emotionally available within self. So we also see this in the more avoidantly attached individuals as well. So for the more anxiously attached, we see abandonment leading to anxiety and clinginess and neediness and pleasing and proving and perfectionism. What we see in the more avoidant individual is internalizing these experiences as there's something wrong with me. So when we upset someone or something goes wrong or they need too much of us, it's like there's something wrong with us. We cannot give that to you. Oh, you're feeling this way because of something that I did. And their coping mechanism is to shut down. I cannot display emotions. I cannot express vulnerably and have a conversation about this because there's something wrong with me. You're better off without me. We hear this a lot from the avoidantly attached individuals. You're better off without me. I'm not good at relationships. And they create that distance in order to protect themselves. They have difficulty trusting people. We see this more with the more fearful avoidant individual, the difficulty trusting people, because they have learned along the way that my parents are consistently not meeting my needs. It's a repetition thing. I cannot depend on them. I cannot rely on them to meet my needs. Yes, you're giving me food and shelter and whatnot, but the emotional support and validation is not there. Therefore, I am now learning that others cannot be depended on, that I cannot trust these people. I can't count on them to be there for me. I can only depend on myself. Now, I don't want to put us in boxes. You might notice that you feel elements of all of them. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are all of them. We are very unique and complex individuals, and we all have our unique specific programming from our childhood. So take all of this as information and not a diagnosis. And this is all about just understanding how emotional abandonment from your past is impacting you in the present moment, in your adult relationships. We are always playing out those subconscious experiences and from our past in order to heal in some way, whether we're wanting that different outcome or we're needing those lessons to be downloaded so we can heal those wounds and move forward into secure attachment. I'm interrupting this episode to ask you a question. Have you taken our relationship archetype quiz yet? If you haven't and you want to know more about your attachment style, this is the quiz for you. All you have to do is answer 10 simple questions, and that will take you to your result to find out what archetype you are, whether you're the mountain, the wind, the sun, or the ocean. So to get started for free, click the link in the show notes below, and don't forget to let me know what archetype you are as well. All right, let's get back to the episode. Another thing about emotional childhood abandonment is it does create this generalized feeling of insecurity, a belief that the world isn't safe and people aren't dependable. And this causes us to anticipate and fear abandonment and rejection and betrayal in our adult relationships before it even happens. I was seeing this a lot this morning, one with my client, where we saw that she was going into a cognitive distortion of catastrophizing. She was catastrophizing everything of what could happen. I'm going to be alone forever. I'm never going to find someone. If I open my heart up to this person, they're going to hurt me. And this all comes from the space of really struggling to trust and feel worthy of receiving, and not having that inner safety within herself, that no matter what happens in the external world, that she has the space, the environment within herself to hold all the experiences and emotions that might come with abandonment and rejection. It doesn't feel safe. She doesn't trust herself to be able to hold herself through this experience. Seeing it a lot in my audience on the masterclass this morning as well, fearing that if I get into another relationship that they're going to abandon me just like my dad did emotionally, or they are going to betray me just like my early experiences in relationships did. So these are all information for us that whatever has happened to us in the past has not been processed and integrated. Instead, it's been internalized. As children, we internalize everything because we don't have the tools or the emotional regulation to process it. And that goes for us as adults as well, when we don't have the necessary tools to self-source emotional regulation and do the inner child work and feel safe within ourselves. We internalize it and make it mean something about us. And that's what creates shame. So these internalized experiences become shame. They become beliefs that I am wrong, I am bad, I am unworthy of love, protection, and attention. So I need to repel anything that is going to be that. And instead, I'm attracting what I believe I deserve, not what I want. So how can we start to heal the shame and unworthiness that has come from emotional abandonment experiences? So a little bit about what we talked about this morning in the session was, first of all, sometimes we develop a top to bottom approach in our healing, which is fine. It's more of a cognitive approach. It's about, okay, let me deal with my thoughts around this. Let me reprogram my thoughts and rewire my thinking and say all the affirmations to myself of how worthy and loved I am, which is great. It's also a very necessary and important part of healing and a big element of my coaching methods. However, if this is something that has been integrated deep within your psyche, in your subconscious, it's in your body, it's living in your body. So have you ever had experiences where you've really been trying to affirm to yourself that you're enough, you're worthy, but you just don't feel it? It's just not there. No matter how much you tell yourself that your emotions are valid and that this abandonment wasn't my fault, blah blah blah, like this isn't true. Again, all necessary work, but if you are experiencing that it's not quite landing, then you need more of a bottom to top approach. And what this means is working with the sensations, with the body and the somatic level in order to open up space to be able to do more cognitive work. So we need to work with our nervous system, which can be very hyper activated when we're in an anxious state, when we feel like we're going to be abandoned or rejected, in order to then start to believe these new things about ourselves and rewire those new neurons in our brain and go ahead and do the behavior that reflects our new beliefs, like setting boundaries and communicating our needs and having our own back when someone goes against us. So maybe just like my client, that's where your work starts, is really understanding where in my body is this unworthiness showing up? How does it feel when I feel unworthy of something? And it could be something as small as receiving a compliment. How does that feel in your body? Start to get very curious about your bodily experiences. This is how we start to process and release trauma that is stored in the body, is that we really start to pay attention to the sensations, to our emotions, to our feelings. Maybe we've suppressed them for so long that it's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of feeling, like creating environments where you feel safe in order to allow all of this to come up. And I feel like this is why a lot of people don't really understand and do this type of somatic therapeutic work, is because it just feels too hard to do by yourself. I also went through that as well, and this is what, the beauty of going to therapy or coaching, or even having that relationship. If we notice that that's what it's there for us to heal these wounds, we can do that. We do that in relationship with others, because they can create that safe environment for you to feel. They can give you the permission to feel when you're not giving yourself permission. Instead, you're shaming and blaming yourself for feeling so deeply. And sometimes we feel like it's never going to end, that we're just never going to stop crying, or that we're never going to stop feeling angry. But this is all good, to be able to release through suppressed anxiety, suppressed sadness, whatever needs to come up. Can we create safe spaces for this trauma to be released? That's really where everything stems from. That's where the work needs to begin if you are in this space of needing to release the trauma before working cognitively with your mind. So another tip, if you feel like shame is very present for you, that you feel that you have to hide certain parts of yourself, or that you're not going to be fully accepted if you share certain things, or allow yourself to be seen so vulnerably and authentically that they're going to run in the opposite direction, you might be dealing with a secondary shame wound as opposed to this as well. And shame really is a spiritual wounding, where we just have shoved everything deep, deep down, and we don't feel worthy of being seen. And when we're not seen by others, we're wearing masks and capes and armors and feeling very trapped in these spaces as well. We cannot live a life that feels free, that feels peaceful, without shedding this armor, without allowing ourselves to be fully seen in our most naked, and I don't mean physically naked, I mean emotionally naked spaces. So how can we start to release the shame? We can start to talk about it. We can start to surround ourselves with safe, trustworthy people. And maybe you're like, I don't have that anyone in my life. Then maybe it will be a therapist or a coach. That's why a lot of people come to me, because they don't feel like they can do this with those around them, which is fine. It doesn't say anything about their family or friend. They just don't have the capacity or the tools or the skills to do so. The more that you are able to expose and share those hidden parts of you that you have shamed for so long, or someone else has shamed for so long, you will start to feel that lightness within your body. You will start to recognize that you are still so intrinsically worthy of love and protection and support and attention, and your needs to be met, even with these shameful parts that you have labeled and that you have hidden as a way of protecting yourself from abandonment. So you're reprogramming that experience for yourself, that you still get to be loved, no matter what mistakes you may have made, or no matter what parts of you that you feel will not be accepted. And the last one is to really pay attention and learn how to validate your needs, identify your needs, and meet your needs. Even before you express and communicate them with others, it needs to start within yourself. This is what it means to be emotionally available for yourself. This was a question that I had this morning as well. Like, how can we be more emotionally available to ourselves? Because we're having this pattern of attracting emotionally unavailable partners, and it could be just a reflection of how emotionally available you are to yourself. Again, it's all about creating that space for your emotions, but it's also about attending to your needs, just like you needed from your parent that, in your childhood. Reparenting work, being the parent that you needed back then to be able to gift yourself what you need. Because what emotional abandonment does is it tells us that our needs don't matter, that we don't matter, and we know that this isn't true. And it's really important that we redirect that and we correct it by telling ourselves repeatedly that our needs are valid, but not only just telling ourselves, but actually going ahead and showing yourself, putting things in place that keep you feeling safe, comfortable, supported. And this could be many, many different things. We could be here all day on needs work, but just really tapping in to that and asking yourself a power question of what do I need in this scenario right now to create relief for myself? So this could be something like, let me use an example we all go through, like stress at work, right? We're feeling super stressed and overwhelmed in our work. Ask yourself that question, what do I need right now to be able to come back to a space of feeling calm, focused, and present? Maybe I need a freaking break. Maybe I need to just go to the bathroom and take 5 minutes. Maybe I need to talk about something and verbally process something that's on my mind that's causing me stress. Okay, can I find a trusted colleague? Can I ask them if they have 5 minutes for a conversation? Do I just need to get a cup of tea? That was my thing when I was doing my social work, and I would come into the office and I would be overwhelmed by all the house visits and information that I have just received and blah, 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 and the court hearings. Let me just, before I sit down, before I get into this, let me create a safe environment. Let me attend to myself before I attend to others. And for me, that meant making a cup of tea. That's the British in me. We see this all the time. If you're British, you know, whenever something happens in life, when someone dies or when someone's going through something shit, let me put the kettle on. It creates a sense of safety. So what are those small but powerful things that can create more safety within yourself, physically and emotionally, so you can do the hard things, so you can grow your capacity to hold all of these emotions that you are working through right now in order to heal that abandonment wound? Whew. This was a powerful episode, my love. I hope that it really served you and supported you in the space that you're at right now, whatever that may be. And I hope that you can take a lot from this in terms of how we can stop abandoning ourselves and start loving ourselves, and what we need to put in place for that to happen. And it all comes down to, if we want to start attracting safer, secure relationships and partners, it really, really does start with ourselves. How safe do you feel within your own body? And really taking that time, like unapologetically, I am in relationship to myself. Even if you are in relationship to another right now, say, I need to prioritize myself more. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to spend more time with myself. I'm going to go into coaching, therapy. I'm going to join a support community. We have those as well within the relationship rehab. And I'm really going to set aside time, effort, and energy for me, because I deserve it. Oh my goodness, do you deserve it? You deserve to show up for yourself, just like you deserve to receive love and support and attention from others, you deserve to receive that from yourself as well. So let me know if you do need any further support in releasing any emotional abandonment wounds or anything around that in that matter that you need some more private, intimate support with. I am here for you. All you need to do is reach out. Let me know that you've listened to this podcast and we can start a conversation. And just take some time today for yourself. Join our free communities where you can get the support and monthly lives like we did this morning, where we just connect and we ask questions and we support one another in our healing journey, because this shit is tough, guys, and I don't want you to do this alone. You don't have to do this alone. Like, you have so much support around you. It's about believing that you do, and it's about taking that support. If I know you do so much for other people. You attend to other people's needs. You are that shoulder to cry on when people need it. You are probably in a career that is around healing or helping or nursing, whatever it is. You do so much for others. Start creating space for yourself. That is the only way to really, really go deep with this type of work. All right, my loves, until next time, thank you so much for joining me. And as always, if you have any feedback or in need of any support, don't hesitate to reach out. Sending all my love. Thank you so much for joining me on the Relationship Rehab podcast. I hope that this episode has supported you in healing, growing, and evolving out of insecure attachment and unhealthy relationship patterns and into safe, authentic love with yourself and others. If you enjoyed the episode, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would just take a second to rate and review this podcast. Every rating and review from you guys counts, as it really helps this podcast to grow so it can reach more people who need to hear this content. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. Take a screenshot of this podcast episode, share it on your IG stories, and tag me at the.relationship.rehab with your biggest takeaway from the episode. I really do love reading them. See you back here next week for another episode on the Relationship Rehab podcast.